and then you get a bad result, something that was not what you were hoping for, and as an adverse effect of the decision making that you had. That's going to create or invite the opportunity for you to give yourself negative confirmations. You're going to give yourself reasons to solidify and immortalize that as a terrible experience. It was painful. It was embarrassing. You didn't do what you were supposed to do. One of the things that you're going to hear me say a lot in the videos, the boring parts that most people don't like to hear, is that you have to understand yourself, know yourself, and, or as it's said many ways, it's know thyself. And unfortunately, that's an endeavor that most of us don't want to do, but that's a very critical part of finding consistency. It's very hard for young men to encounter this, and they resist it. They want to hold the opportunity to blame someone else or something else as the outward interference to them succeeding, not them just simply not doing what's required or expected. And there's no shortcuts, and I don't sugarcoat it at all. And unfortunately, that turns off a lot of people because they want it right now, real quick and short to the point. And they discover, chasing other approaches or shorter methods that promise, profitability, they can't do it. They might have flash in the pan one-hit wonders here and there, but that's not consistency. And my aim as a mentor is to teach you how to find your consistency, not mimic mine or try to keep up with other people on social media, but you're trying to find your own lane and stay in it. So the way you do that is understanding and determining, very painfully for most people, what your personal weaknesses are. And that's an ugly area in everyone's life that we want to try to pretend doesn't exist, because every one of us have a weakness. Every single one of us has a frailty, something that brings a reason for ruin. And I mentioned in I don't know if it was 2 spaces ago, where I covered, like, for young men, if their personal relationships are always plagued with drama and such, your trading's going to be very bad, because you're not being responsible in your relationship, and you're going to bring those same character flaws into a method of making money that requires discipline. You have to be like a machine. Like, you have to be so objective about what it is you're doing and understanding where you will mess up, what makes it or what invites recklessness in you. And as a young man, I didn't want to identify on any of those things initially, when I had many reasons to have that. Failed marriage, troubled upbringing, parents didn't want have anything to do with me. And I used all those things as a chip on my shoulder. And I wanted to have an instant gratification in the marketplace to replace that pain. And it doesn't work that way. And unfortunately, a lot of the sugar-coated shit that you see in this industry kind of caters to that. Hey, buy my course, buy my shit. I'll teach you how to trade in 2 months or 3 months, and you'll be able to make a lot of money and be part of the 1% crowd. And you find that that's not true, because they themselves haven't even mastered themselves. The teachers, the educators, but they put this mask on and hide it. I don't ever wear a mask like that. I literally come out here, and every time I talk to you, I'm talking from real world experience, embarrassments, failures, things I've done, blown accounts. I don't ever hide any of that stuff, because you all have to endure those types of things and figure out what it is that's going to cause you ruin, what is going to derail you. And before you can ever find winning consistency in your trades, you have to identify those character flaws. Many of you might be using alcohol. Many of you might be doing drugs, recreational or whatever you want to call it. That's going to have an impediment in your ability to be consistent, because you're changing the state of your focus, your lucidness. You're not going to be at optimal levels if you're doing things like that. And if you do drink excessively, you should not be in front of your computers. You shouldn't be doing anything like that. And you shouldn't be inviting, let me say it clear, because I don't think I said it clear enough. You should not be inviting substance abuse into your trading. And I have students that have wrestled with that, and they tried to ignore it and they hid it from me when they were telling me they were having problems with finding consistency and saying, I can see it after the fact, but it frustrates me. I can't do it then. And come to find out they have been wrestling with alcoholism. And you can't ignore it. Like, that's a big elephant in the room. And maybe that doesn't fit you or your problem. And all of us have a problem. All of us have a kink in our armor that it may not be a big deal to anyone on the outside, but for us that have to deal with it, it's like a rock in your shoe. You can't run the fastest. You can't stand on good footing because it hurts. It's painful. And it's a distraction from whatever you're doing. So if that's an endeavor that you're fearful of, you need to get over that. Find out what it is that is a problem for you. It may be codependency. You may need to be with someone for, companionship. And if you don't have it, it makes you lonely. It makes you feel anxious. And it's going to do what? It's going to cause you to do things in the marketplace to replace that. Replacing those negative experiences, that fearful stuff. And unfortunately, there's not enough said about this in the trading space because, again, like I said many times before, it forces the viewer or reader, if it's a book, to take a personal assessment on themselves. And they're not going to like what they find. When you take personal inventory and you have to do an evaluation on yourself, where am I a problem? Where do I keep making problems for myself? Where do I invite drama? Where do I cause recklessness in decision making? Where am I impulsive? That type of thing. For the ladies, and I'm not trying to just beat up on the guys here, I know my wife is an impulsive buyer. Like, if I give her a credit card and she goes out to the store with a list of things, I say, okay, go get this and don't get anything else. Okay, well, what that means. I'm not getting everything on the list because she's seen something else that she wants to get, and it's better for us to have that. And then 20 other things. Oh, I saw this thing. Look at this. This was 40% off. Yeah, I could have saved the other 60% if you didn't buy that. Okay, that's a better deal. That's the better savings. Okay, but women generally tend to be impulsive as a spender, and that might be a problem, not for many, but it may be a problem for female traders that become impulsive about doing something beyond what they took out of the marketplace. And what do I mean by that? I have women that I've trained, and a few of them, Grazi, shout out to you. She's in our private mentorship, and I hate saying that. I wish I could have just paused myself there, because when I do this, it seems like I got a tweet the other day. You're teasing us about your private mentorship, and then you say nobody can join. But I'm trying to wind that down. I don't do videos for them, and I'm actually doing all my teachings publicly now. So they're in this group with you, learning. So, but Grazi, she's in our forum, and she's just a dynamo. Like, I'm very proud of her. And what I'm about to say is not directed to her. And to be quite honest with you, I wouldn't even know if it was a case for her or not. I just know that she does very well, and she makes it public in our forum. She walks the walk, and no bragging, very, very consistent. And I'm just very, very proud as a mentor. And she's doing it with real money. So there you go. And all the other students love her too. So she's an Aussie, if I'm not mistaken. So shout out to the blokes down there that you got one from your homeland that's killing it in my mentorship, and she's a lady. But I have other ladies in my mentorship that get upset that they find a trade, they get something out of it, they profit, and then they beat themselves up by getting out too early because they second guessed it, and they become impulsive about going right back in one more time, and then being scared of the normal little retracement that may be just simply return to a small little fair value gap on a lower time frame that they're not even aware of, because they're regretting getting out early. And this might be something that some of you men are actually encountering too, and finding yourself being impulsive. Like, I want to get that too. This was enough. And it doesn't make a difference that you bailed out. If you have to grow into understanding how to hold on to positions, and you're not going to do it right from the first trade. No one learns how to hold a trade to full target by being able to do it the first time. Like, it doesn't, that's like knowing it already, right? But unfortunately, our brains as human beings would like to convince ourselves that, we can do it in a shorter span of time. We can do it faster than someone else. And that's the cup of tea right now. Everybody wants to learn ICT stuff quicker, shorter to the point. And then I guarantee you, you're not going to get the results you're looking for. You're going to have to go right back through all this stuff I've told you to do. And that's where your consistency is going to be found and derived from. But if you're finding yourself being impulsive and trying to go back in to get a little bit more of the move that you didn't hold on for, that's showing you a character flaw. You're being impulsive. You're not being content with enough. Now, for those who have been following me for a long time, when you hear me or read many times in my tweets, I'll say, be content with enough. I'm reminding you that if you take something, that's better than a loss. And you engaged, you have experience now. And that impulsiveness that caused you to get out of the trade early because of either fear or anxiety, or you just can't handle it. Or you've had recently a string of bad trade ideas that didn't pan out. Your demo account just in drawdown, you want to build it back up a little bit, you want to just have a win. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing. It's actually one of the better things to do. Is as soon as you feel like you're feeling anxious after a losing streak, and you feel that tendency, I got to close it, I feel nervous, close it, and then watch the rest of it. And then log it like you took the whole trade. And then remind yourself that my idea panned out and I had to leave the position because I am growing in my trust. Now, notice that I said those words and not, I can't believe I bailed on this trade again. I'm so stupid. This is so dumb of me. I'm never going to get this. I'm so frustrated. You see the difference? And that's why I don't like to see people doing that in their tweets to me, because if they screw up, how you handle your screw up, your mistake, is going to set the path for you in your development and your consistency. Because if you're impulsive and then you get a bad result, something that was not what you were hoping for, and as an adverse effect of the decision making that you had, that's going to create or invite the opportunity for you to give yourself negative confirmations. You're going to give yourself reasons to solidify and immortalize that as a terrible experience. It was painful. It was embarrassing. You didn't do what you were supposed to do. Versus, okay, this is what I did. This is why I did it. And this was the aim of why I was doing it. And it's not a bad thing. Now, if you do something impulsively and you had a stop loss, and then you change the stop loss and start moving it around like a neophyte and opening it up more. You ever see me do that in my trade examples? No. I'm only taking the trade stop loss and narrowing the risk as the trade moves in my favor. My position is reducing the risk. I'm not opening myself up to more risk unless I'm pyramiding, and then I'm adjusting the stop relative to that new pyramid entry because of the new equity increase, or not equity increase, but the amount of leverage being used. But I'm actively managing that stop. But in this example, if you were to take a trade and you move the stop loss to a larger risk because you are afraid that you're going to get stopped out, that is something that you need to tell yourself. If you get stopped out with a larger stop loss being hit, you need to go into your journal and say, I made the mistake of not following the rules about opening my stop loss up. And this was a reminder of why the rules are to be followed. Something like that is not kicking you in the gut and driving the air out of your lungs and leaving you, demoralized. You're being responsible. You're holding yourself accountable in your journal. You're not sharing this online. You're not saying, hey, ICT, this is what I did. Blah, blah. You're not reporting to me. Those types of things go in your journal. You're winning things and you're losing things. Those things are recorded for your benefit. That book, that trading book that you're building with your journal, that's the best trading book you're ever going to read, because it's built on real experience and your unique perspective on the markets through your eyes, your personality brought into it, your unique experience. And it's unique to all of us. And that's the wonderful thing that I find so fascinating as a mentor, that I have so many diverse backgrounds and cultures and folks from all around the world that are doing it. And they all do it just a little bit different. And that makes it uniquely theirs. And I love that. So you got to know yourself. And it's a scary endeavor. And if you've been avoiding it, you need to just roll your sleeves up and say, okay, on a weekend, just evaluate what it is that you spend your time thinking about. Do you worry about making money, not making money? Are you going to get it? Are you obsessively thinking about, the worrisome idea of failing at this? Instead of doing that, you need to put yourself in a mindset where you're studying and looking at old things that you recorded in your journal. As soon as you feel like a negative wave is coming over top of you, you feel like something like doubt, concern that you're never going to get this, go back and look at old price moves that you have in your journal. That's the benefit of having a journal, and where you got it right. That's such an encouragement, because it's not like reading someone else's book or watching my video or watching my examples where I'm taking the trade. I know a lot of you like to live vicariously through me and my examples, but that only lasts for the video. When you have done something and you've either tape read, when you study price action without pushing a button, demo, or even a live account, and you're just studying price action or taking a demo, and you log that experience in your journal and you record it in your own words that this panned out exactly like I was expecting. It's so encouraging to see these types of things coming forward in my development. You want to be very positive in your journal. All your journal entries need to be positive. You want to be able to feel like you can't wait to go back and read them again. They're personal love letters to yourself. They're encouraging to yourself. No one's going to encourage you like you want them to do. Even me. I'm not there when you push a button. And when you do the funded account challenges, or you get a big withdrawal and you got money coming in your hands for real, I can like your post, I can retweet it, but that stops moments after that. And you might see other people come in and be a flurry of other people liking it and saying, hey, way to go, I'll be with you soon. That's encouraging, but that only lasts for so long. Unlike a trading journal that tracks your development, where you have real occurrences, where you yourself have done the work, you saw the setup coming and it panned out. When you have hundreds or more of those examples, and it doesn't take long to get them, but you have to do the work of logging it, recording it, studying it, and then seeing that you did it right that many times in the past. And then when you do it wrong, how infrequent that is, and how that becomes even less infrequent doing it wrong over time. That's the advantage of doing these things consistently and following the process. So having that mindset going in, that one trade idea is not your entire career, and it won't break you, and how you won't look at that as a way of inviting ruin to yourself. So knowing yourself, removing those weaknesses, or at least trying to keep them from influencing your trading decisions, that's important.